There is a National Association of Hispanic Journalists, and they have released a statement. Jill Biden used the phrase that as distinct as the bodegas, or I'm sorry, bogadas of the Bronx, as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami, as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio. The National Association of Hispanic Journalists, this is the tweet, encourages the First Lady and her communications team to take time to better understand the complexities of our people and communities. We are not tacos. I feel like I should say, we are not tacos. Our heritage as Latinos is shaped by various diasporas, cultures, and food traditions. Do not reduce us to stereotypes. And, you know, if you pay attention to this, the bodegas in the Bronx, pretty diverse ethnic background, even among the Hispanic community. The Blossoms, Miami, there's a Cuban community there. There's a Puerto Rican community there. There's a Venezuelan and a Colombian. But the breakfast tacos of San Antonio, that was a bit of a reach. Somebody should probably be fired on her staff that she went along with it. Dr. Mrs. Jill Biden went along with that. If she's so offended by people not calling her doctor, you would think she would kind of understand people might just be a little offended when you call them a taco. Apparently, Latinx is white progressive speak for tacos. Now I'm hungry. Aren't you hungry? There's a larger issue here. And this is actually the important one. If you go back to 2012, with Barack Obama versus Mitt Romney in Iowa, you began to see in Western Iowa, the blue-collar, non-college educated communities that had gone for Barack Obama in 2008, they were beginning to vote more and more Republican in 2012, and then 14, 16, 18. And then 20. It began to be more widespread. You began to see it as early as 2010. It really didn't become manifest until 2016 and has held up ever since, even into 2018 and 2020. But you didn't see it at first. It was kind of an anomaly. In the same way, in 2016, you began to see the southern border counties of Colorado that were majority Hispanic, the Rio Grande Valley counties in South Texas, even down in Florida, not the I-4 corridor that's kind of become moving, if anything, towards the Democrats a little bit, but those predominantly Hispanic communities down in South Florida, they were starting to vote Republican at rates they hadn't been in the past. And nobody really noticed it at first. Nobody really paid attention at first, because it seemed like an anomaly. It was a weird thing. Hillary Clinton, terrible candidate. Nobody liked her. But it's held up and it's grown and it's become more manifest. There really is a shift going. And part of the shift is you know what you call Hispanic people in this country? You might want to sit down for this one. Do you know what you call a Hispanic person in this country? Mom. Dad. Doctor. Lawyer, plumber, janitor, lawn care, landscaper, fast food worker, accountant, American. And they're not Hispanic, they're not Latino, they're Venezuelan, they're Colombian, they're Argentinian, they're Puerto Rican, they're Peruvian, they're Chilean, they're Guatemalan, they're Nicaraguan, they're Honduran, they're Mexican, they're Panamanian. It's a diverse group of people. To boil them down as tacos, the taco is uniquely Mexican, and essentially that's what it reads as, oh, you're saying they're all like the Mexicans. Well, no, they're not. The bodegas, at least, are culturally diverse. The Blossoms of Miami, you can kind of get there, but the breakfast tacos of San Antonio, they're pretty specifically Mexican in origin. And it didn't work. And this is the problem for the Democrats. They call them Latinx, a word that you cannot say in the Spanish language. It's impossible to form it in the Spanish language, and the white people go along with it. You narrow them down to be breakfast tacos. This is a problem that's been simmering for a while. It's been simmering around the country for a while. And you see it made manifest plain as day in places like the southern counties of Colorado that are predominantly Hispanic, the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. You see it in Arizona. You see it in New Mexico even, where the Democrats thought they had drawn some safe Democratic seats, and it looks like the Republicans may win some. The Hispanic, the Latino community, call it whichever one you want. Most in that community say Hispanic. It's the white people, the people in South Los Angeles and in Southern California say Latino. Then that's what is pervasive within the Democratic Party there. But most people would say in the vernacular Hispanic. They flip back and forth, but none of them say Latinx. And all of them know we're not talking about Mexicans here. We're talking about Mexicans some, but we're talking about a bunch of other countries too. And they all have unique stories. And they all have unique backgrounds, and they all have unique histories. But now they are Americans, and they want to be treated as an American, and they care about border security, and they care about crime, and they care about education. And they fled, many of them, socialist dictatorships or collapsed kleptocracies, and they've come to the United States for a better living. And what do they have here? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Squad, and Nancy Pelosi wanting to impose on them the same economic regimes they fled from to get here for a better life. They want to impose on them a cultural progressivism that's anathema to their deep-seated faith that got them through the wilds, deserts, and jungles of Central America on foot to get here in some cases, and in other cases by their sweat and brow and the money they saved to get on a plane to come here. And the Democrats want to punish them all, punish their success. They've heard that rhetoric before. It's the rhetoric they fled from. And that's why there's a massive cultural shift underway to the GOP. These people aren't breakfast tacos, Jill Biden. They're American citizens.
Want to be on the show? Call Eric now at 877-97-ERIC. That's 8